History is full of greatness, kingdoms that rose from nothing, commanded continents and fell into silence. But why do empires rise? Why do they fall? And what can we learn today from their victories and their mistakes? Let's travel through time and uncover the truth behind the rise and fall of ancient empires and the lessons they left behind for us to build a better future. It began with small villages, simple people living off the land, trading goods, worshipping their gods and trying to survive. No one would have guessed that these humble communities would one day become powerful empires. Empires that ruled millions, changed the world and left behind legacies we still see today. Take Rome, for example. What started as a tiny settlement by the Tiber River grew into one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. Or Egypt, a civilization born from the life-giving Nile River, building pyramids and temples that still stand after thousands of years. Or the Han Dynasty in China, which brought together vast lands and cultures under one rule, laying the foundation for Chinese identity even today. How did they rise? They had leaders with vision, leaders who inspired people, organized armies, and dreamed beyond borders. They built strong armies, using new weapons, smart strategies, and strict discipline to win battles. They developed technologies, like aqueducts to bring water, roads to move troops and trade, and writing systems to keep records. But their greatest power wasn't just in weapons or walls, it was in unity. These empires gave people a shared identity through language, religion, culture, and trade. They connected cities and towns. They made people feel like they belonged to something bigger. Still, power doesn't come from rising alone. Staying in power is the real test. The most successful empires built strong governments. They created laws that protected people, appointed wise officials, and punished corruption. At least at first, they invested in infrastructure, Roman roads, Egyptian irrigation canals, Chinese paper and iron industries. These weren't just impressive, they were necessary. They made life better for people. They knew how to manage resources too. Grain, gold, salt, silk. Empires carefully controlled what was made, what was traded, and how to store it for hard times. They taxed fairly, or tried to. They planned for famine. They kept markets flowing. And most importantly, they managed people. Empires are big, too big for one culture alone, so they had to deal with diversity. Some allowed local religions and customs. Others offered citizenship or mixed cultures together. They kept peace by letting people feel respected. But even the greatest empires began to crack. It didn't always start with war. Often the first signs were hidden. Leaders grew greedy. Courts turned corrupt. Money lost its value. People lost trust. Empires stretched too far, ruling lands they couldn't protect. They spent more than they earned. Taxes grew heavy. The poor grew poorer. The rich became untouchable. Civil wars broke out. Armies turned on each other. Enemies outside noticed the weakness and invaded. And when disaster hit, famine, plague, rebellion, the system collapsed. This is how Rome fell. This is how Egypt declined. This is how the Han Dynasty fractured. And yet, their fall is not just their story, it's ours too. Most great empires didn't start strong. They began in the dust. Small tribes, river settlements, humble farmers. But over time they grew. Why? First, leadership. Rome had its senators and later emperors. Egypt had god-kings, the pharaohs. The Han Dynasty had visionary rulers who brought order out of chaos. These leaders didn't just rule, they built. Second, military strength. Rome's legions were disciplined and deadly. Egypt had powerful chariots and archers. The Han used strategy and advanced weapons. War wasn't just fighting, it was a way to shape the map. Third, innovation. Rome engineered aqueducts and roads. Egypt developed writing and medicine. China invented paper and iron tools. These technologies didn't just improve life, they transformed it. And then came trade and culture. Empires grew wealthy through trade routes, like the Silk Road and Nile River trade. They connected people through language, religion and art. They gave their citizens a shared identity, a reason to be proud and to stay loyal. Lesson: the rise of empires was never just about conquest. It was about ideas, leadership and unity. The pillars of power, the foundations of empire building. Rising is hard, but staying on top, that's even harder. So how did these empires survive for hundreds, even thousands of years? They built strong systems. Governance. Rome had laws. Egypt had centralized control. China had civil service exams and Confucian philosophy. Power wasn't just personal, it was structured. They didn't just build for beauty, they built to last. Roman roads connected cities, Han canals moved grain, Egyptian dams controlled the Nile. These works fed people, moved armies, and kept order. Grain silos, salt taxes, gold mines, all were managed by the state. When drought or famine came, wise planning saved millions. When done poorly, it sparked riots. Great empires ruled over many people. Rome granted citizenship to outsiders. The Han Dynasty balanced Confucianism with local customs. Egypt adapted gods and languages. The secret? Allow difference, but build unity. Lesson: power is more than size. It's about structure, strategy, and the smart use of people and resources. No empire lasts forever, but collapse doesn't come from a single sword or fire. It creeps in slowly, quietly. Rome spread too far, from Britain to Persia. It couldn't defend its borders or feed its people. The Han also grew large, too large to govern. Taxes rose, trade slowed, inflation hit, farmers lost land, wealth piled up for the few, the poor suffered. Sound familiar? Civil conflict. When power corrupts, division follows. In Rome, generals fought each other. In Egypt, court battles tore dynasties apart. In China, rebellions became common. External threats, enemies waited. When the time was right, barbarians, Persians, Mongols, they struck. Not because they were stronger, but because the empires were already weak inside. Cultural decay, virtues faded, citizens no longer served, no longer cared. Corruption and apathy replaced civic duty. Lesson: empires fall not just from attack, but from within. Pride, greed, and poor planning plant the seeds of collapse. Lessons for the modern world navigating the challenges of today. We are not ancient empires, but we face ancient problems. Overreach, inequality, environmental strain, political division. History may not repeat, but it rhymes. Today's leaders must remember what ancient ones forgot. No system survives without care. Adaptation is key. Communication is vital. Wisdom, not power, leads to lasting peace. Sustainability isn't just a buzzword. Ancient farmers ignored soil erosion and starved. Today we ignore climate and energy warnings at our own risk. Diversity and unity must be balanced. Where Rome integrated, it lasted. Where it excluded, it fell. Today we face the same choices, with even more at stake. Power must serve the people. Ancient kings ruled with justice or were overthrown. Today's governments must do the same. Lesson: the past shows us that power without wisdom fades. The future belongs to those who learn, adapt, and lead with vision. We need critical thinking. Empires fell when people stopped asking questions. We must teach truth, question power, and stay informed. We need resilience. Every empire faced crisis. The strong recovered, the stubborn fell. We need systems, economic, environmental, social, that bend but don't break. We need vision. Greatness doesn't come from comfort, it comes from those who dream big and prepare wisely. This is our test, this is our chance. Not to dominate, but to build a future based on balance, not greed, wisdom, not fear. Lesson: the fall of the old world must be the rise of a better one, but only if we choose it. The story of ancient empires is not just a story of kings and wars, it's the story of us, of what we can be, of what we must avoid. Let us rise, but with humility. Let us lead, but with wisdom. Let us build, not for power, but for people. History is not a warning, it's a mirror. What we do next is up to us.